Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. This is a shot of whiskey, formerly Tessa Fowler for wife. Now, this video in particular is actually one that was requested, so it's not very often that I get that. So I figured I might as well, why not? Besides it, you guys can probably see from the title that it's another prediction video based off of professional sports, this case the National Hockey League, and I do enjoy hockey. Um, but I gotta be entirely honest, as much as I enjoy watching it, I'm kind of adult when it comes to this subject. So I'm gonna do the best that I can. I have been kind of researching what's going on with different teams and what's being expected, how different teams have been doing in the preseason thus far. So I'm going to do the best that I can to predict, and I'll also show you guys how I'm thinking that the playoffs are going to look, pending that my predictions are correct. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first of the four divisions, which is the Metropolitan. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals will have a close fight for the top seed, but I'm going to side with Pittsburgh on this one, which means I'm likely to expect Washington to get second place. However, I'd like to point out third place. It's going to be a good fight between Carolina Hurricanes, Columbus Blue Jackets, and New York Rangers. I'm putting the Rangers on top of those three, giving them the third place seeding. But a lot of that is because I could see the Rangers surprising my expectations and win the division as a whole. That's one of the reasons why I put them ahead of Carolina and Columbus. As for those two, honestly, I'm expecting Columbus to top over Carolina. So those are the five teams: Pittsburgh, Washington, New York Rangers, Columbus Blue Jackets, Carolina Hurricanes. So, and next, let's go ahead and go for the Atlantic. This is another case of a tough battle between two teams. For the Atlantic, it's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not only are they going to be the ones who are going to be most likely fighting for the division, but I could see them also being top-notch contenders for the President's Cup. I'm going to give the slight edge to Toronto, mostly because it looks like they're going to have the better defense. Third and fourth place will also be pretty tight between the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to give the leeway to Ottawa this one, mostly because of experience. The Boston Bruins will be successful in getting fifth place. They'll just slightly edge out the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, I'm actually giving the Sabres credit on this one. So, using this very simple, crude chart that I created, this is a representation of the seedings for the Eastern Conference based off of what I'm predicting. So you see one side, it has the Penguins, Capitals, Rangers. They're the guaranteed three. And as for the other division, Maple Leafs, Lightning, Senators, they're the guaranteed three for them. And there's the top four wildcard teams. So the specific order that I'm looking at is right here. I see the Canadiens being the top wild card and the Bruins getting the second wild card. So, and I'll go over how those actually pan out for the tournaments in a little bit, for those of you who don't really know how it works. Okay, so now I'm going to focus on the Western Conference, starting off with the Central Division. But before I go into what I'm expecting, let me first of all say that this one, in my opinion, is probably going to be the toughest division this year as far as competition, as well as predictions. And that's mostly because there are four teams that I could see fighting it out for the division title, as well as two others possibly pulling off an upset. That's six teams, and this is the division that has seven teams, so that's literally saying something. But let's go ahead and analyze what's going on in my head. So the four teams that I could see winning the division, at least most likely win the division, are as followed: the Chicago Blackhawks, the Dallas Stars, the Minnesota Wild, and the Nashville Predators. Now, since I'm wanting to try to be precise for the sake of this, I'm going to give the title nod to Dallas. I think they've made some very impressive additions to the team this year. And Yeah, I think they're gelling pretty well from what I've seen in the preseason. Uh, the other two guaranteed spots, second and third place, I'm going to give them to Nashville and Minnesota, respectively. Although Chicago still definitely has the ability to climb up high in the ranks enough to knock one of those two down. That's not what I'm going with. I'm putting Chicago at fourth. As for the fifth seed, uh, while I do think it's going to go to the St. Louis Blues, uh, to be entirely honest, part of me wonders if that's simply my inner fanboy coming out, because the St. Louis Blues are my team. Um, but the team that I could see possibly getting fifth instead of St. Louis is the Winnipeg Jets. So um, I think Winnipeg has the ability to take advantage of certain situations. They could easily pull off some surprise wins here and there. And maybe even go as far up in the ranks as third place. Um, the seventh team that's in this division, and I'm only pointing this out because of what I think, the Colorado Avalanche. I think the only thing that they have to look forward to is that they might get the worst record in the NHL this year. So, all right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the Pacific. Now, I find it a little bit odd what I'm about to say, but it is nonetheless what I'm predicting. I think the division title is going to go to the Edmonton Oilers. And honestly, if I had to put money on it, out of the four teams I've picked to win their divisions, I think Edmonton actually has the best chance at winning the President's Cup. They certainly have a better shot at it than Dallas, but then again, Dallas has a tougher division. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks could surprise me. They look to be the only serious threat to Edmonton successfully winning the Pacific title, in my opinion. Third through fifth places will most likely feature the Calgary Flames, the Los Angeles Kings, and the San Jose Sharks. As for the precise order, I would say flip the two Cali teams, and you'll get what I'm thinking is going to happen. California, San Jose, Los Angeles. Though I would like to make a note that the Arizona Coyotes have a lot of young talent that, if they're shaped right, could be a surprise team this year, but most definitely a potentially seriously dangerous team in the next few years. And I'd also like to make a final note involving the last place battle for this division. It's between the Vancouver Canucks and the Vegas Golden Knights. I could see Vegas beating out Vancouver because they did pick up some good people, but at the same time, they're a brand spanking new team, so it's going to be an interesting thing to find out as the year goes along. Okay, so a similar crap chart layout like what I had for the East. This is what I'm looking at for the West. Oilers, Mighty Ducks, and Flames, and Stars, Predators, Wild. So as for the upcoming wild cards that will be filling in the two remaining vacant spots, Chicago Blackhawks for the top seed, and San Jose Sharks for the second. So that's what I'm thinking for that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the overall 16-team tournament. So the basic way that it's set up, those four divisions basically control the four branches of the tournament. Now, where the wild card plays in is the second seeded wild card goes to the conference champion, whichever one has the best overall record. So, which is why I was saying which ones I felt like had the best chance of winning the President's Cup. So, in the case of the East, as we see here, the Bruins would be going to the Pittsburgh Penguins, as they are who I think have the best shot at getting the top seed for the East. And with that being said, that means that the Canadians will be going over to the Maple Leafs. So, not too far apart for a division rivalry, wouldn't you say? Now, similarly, this would make the San Jose Sharks, wildcard number 2, go to Edmonton, and the Chicago Blackhawks would go to Dallas. It's just coincidental in this particular case that the two wildcards would go to their correct division, as if though the tournament were structured to be the top four in each division rather than how it actually is. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I think is going to happen in the first round of the playoffs. Montreal surprisingly beats Toronto in 6 games. By the way, this is out of 7 in every single series for the National Hockey League. And Ottawa beats Tampa Bay in 6. That's going to be a very fun series, in my opinion. Pittsburgh is going to sweep Boston, and Washington is going to take things down to the wire against New York. Over on the West, Chicago is going to actually outdo Dallas in 5. Surprise, surprise. Nashville is going to outdo Minnesota in 6. Edmonton is going to outdo San Jose in 5. And Anaheim is going to outdo Calgary in 6. I'm sorry, Bret Hart. So the final 8 teams will take place in these 4 particular series, and I predict the conclusions to be like this. The Ottawa Senators will beat the Montreal Canadiens in 5 games, and the Washington Capitals will beat the defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins in 6. The Nashville Predators will beat the Chicago Blackhawks in 5, and the Edmonton Oilers will beat the Anaheim Mighty Ducks in an impressive 7 series, meaning that our conference finals will be the Ottawa Senators versus the Washington Capitals, which I didn't realize this until I just started talking for this. That's going to be the capital of Canada versus the capital of the United States. That's fucking hilarious. And the West will be the Nashville Predators versus the Edmonton Oilers. Ottawa is going to win in the clash of capitals against the Capitals, but this series is going to go into 6 games. Edmonton is going to beat Nashville in a series that goes all the way to 7 games, which means that the Stanley Cup Finals this year will be between 2 Canadian teams. That's actually very interesting for the world of National Hockey League, and for those of you who don't know why, that's because there hasn't been a Canadian team to hoist the Stanley Cup in 25 years. The last team to do it was the Montreal Canadiens, who won it in the 1993 season against the Los Angeles Kings, 4-1, giving Montreal their 24th title. They're the New York Yankees of hockey. So, not to take away from what's going on in this year, I think that the Edmonton Oilers are going to win the whole shebang, and it's going to be in 5 games. So, there you go. That's what I'm predicting. Well, now that that's done and over with, I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you guys a couple of things that relate to my next video. The first one is that unless something changes on my end, or if Google decides to be a bunch of dicks, which is very possible because it's Google, I am planning on having my next video being the last one in which this formerly Tessa Fowler for Wife stuff that I've been doing will finally come to an end. That's my goal. And the video afterwards, I will just simply be a shot of whiskey. That's my goal. Now, the other thing that I wanted to bring up is what my next video is going to be about, because it was, like this one, requested. Kind of. I'll go into more details in that particular video. But this one is my take on the argument of which one is better. The original Teen Titans cartoon and the new Teen Titans Go. So I'm sure that some of you guys probably already have an opinion on this if you care, but I'm asking that for now. You hold off on the internet fighting until after you hear me out. In the meantime, peace out, everybody.